It was interesting to see the documentary, thanks to Professor Schoenfeld. And I think it presented a very nice example, the Westminster Palace. But I also think that Khartoum is particularly relevant when it comes to ventilation. When British colonizers came to Khartoum back in 1898, they were aware that they were going to a very harsh environment. And in fact, the idea of building a European city at the fringe of the great African Sahara, in the center of Africa, was a very strange idea. But they went along, knowing that they were facing two major problems. The health problem. Khartoum was a floodplain infested with mosquitoes and malaria. It was very difficult to control. And the other factor was the harsh, dry, dusty, hot climate. For that purpose, the design of buildings considered so many aspects. And when nowadays we look at the line of colonial buildings along the Blue Nile, we feel that there are lots of lessons to make out of that. First, the proper orientation. They were oriented in a way that they catch every breeze, but they also avoid intense radiation. The selection of materials, thick walls, high ceilings, every arrangement was made to produce environmentally fit buildings at a time when there was no available energy and no mechanical means of ventilation and cooling. But one of the very interesting features was these small openings you could see everywhere. They are not as sophisticated as you have seen there here. They are not as sophisticated as you could see in New Delhi or somewhere else in colonial buildings, but they had interesting solutions for dissipating upper hot layers of air. And that would create a kind of thermosiphoning, sucking cool air from lower levels, shaded areas, lawns, wet places, and therefore convection current would be created and ventilation, natural ventilation would be enhanced. This is a trick that has been practiced in many of the buildings. For example, you could go in the commercial area, you see that the verandas, the shopping arcades are higher than the shops, and therefore they allow for kind of clear-story windows that would wash out the upper hot layers, and eventually that would be replaced with cool air from below. In some of the buildings, they have allowed for small openings of like 10 by 10 centimeters, framed with timber. They had a mosquito netting, sometimes louver, just to protect it from bears and insects and so on. But they also had a metal cover that is liftable, so to say, that is pivoted on an upper hinge and would allow for air to pass through. Another opening on the other side takes care of exhausting hot air. I think if we look deeply at these buildings, they were very much studying, and there are many lessons to bring. Thank you very much.